Welcome to another episode of Pitstop Fracas. I'm your host Mahad, and we're back with a show all about the FIA and the cost cap. You must be thinking, I've had enough of this. We've been listening to this for 2.5 weeks. I've been refreshing the FIA page. I've been checking tweets, seeing what the penalty will be, seeing what was going to happen with Red Bull, who have breached the cost cap. But here we're just going to have a little casual conversation. Please, first of all, just remind yourselves that we're not experts here. We are not reading hundreds of pages of FIA rules. We're just going to give our fan opinion on the cost cap and what the penalty should be. Because we haven't had the opportunity, there's been 2 races since everything came out. Just to give you a bit of a rundown before I introduce my co-host today. It all started in Singapore. I think it was in the practice sessions. There was rumors that 2 teams breached the cost cap. First of all, as an FIA, why have you got leaks? What's going on here? Why do people know that somebody's breached way before you're supposed to announce it? But we'll get onto that. So rumors were swirling around that it was Aston Martin and Red Bull that have breached. We didn't know exactly who breached. And with the FIA, they decided they're going to put out a statement because for some reason FIA is just chilling on F1 Twitter. They're like, oh, all these guys are outraged. All these Sky Sports pundits are talking about it. We need to address this. And they basically said, you lot need to chill the hell out. Yeah. We're going to publish the thing on the Wednesday following the Singapore GP. Remember, I've just said they said they're going to publish it on Wednesday. So they set their deadline. And then everybody decided, okay, we'll wait till Wednesday. You get me? So everybody just waited till Wednesday after the Singapore GP that was won by my boy Sergio Perez. And we were going to find out, okay, officially, what's the documentation, who's the people that have breached and what they've breached. Yeah? Came to Wednesday and they didn't publish it. They let us wait the whole day and said, you know what? You man hold that in it. You man, do you know what they did? They basically did turn it in. You know when you're in uni and they said mitigating circumstances, last minute. So that's the old deadline. We're going to miss that still. Then we get to the Japanese GP. Max wins the title. Then it drops on the Monday and they said there was a minor breach of the cost cap by Red Bull. No, I think 7 teams were compliant. Williams was because they didn't hand in the deadline on time. They hand it on the deadline time or whatever it was. Aston Martin was a procedural breach, but they're under the cap, and Red Bull was over the cap with a minor breach, which means 5%. So for people that know what the cost cap is, it's about 140 something million. 5% of it is like 7 point something. So that's a big. We're looking at big margins here. But before we go into the nitty gritty details of everything, I'd like to introduce brother Kwame. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. Yeah, I've got experience in stocks. Some may say it's not ran correctly or fair, but it's more fair than the FAA's cost cap. So let's get down to it. We're going to try and break it down for you more simple, so you can understand at home.
Yeah. So thank you, Kwame. I'm sure that your stocks. I'm sure you're more official than the FIA when it comes to this type of stuff. We're wearing shades right now because we want to be unidentified people right now, even though it has our names in the corner. And you must be thinking, what the hell? But we're staying unidentified right now. And also all our listeners as well. Thank you for tuning in. So cost cap. 5% of 140 something. I think it could go up to 145 is the cost cap. 7.2 million is 5% of that, if I'm getting it correct to my mental maths.
I thought 7.5, but yeah.
It's 7 something, which is a significant amount. So when they've classified a minor breach to be 7.5. So Red Bull have been confirmed that they have breached this. They have a minor breach, so it could be up to 7.5. But let's go through like the regulations of what they've put in prior to say what a minor sporting penalty is for a minor breach. Yeah. So we got option 1, which is a public reprimand, which is just a slap on the wrist. Don't do that again, mate. You got a deduction from Constructors' Championship points awarded to the championship that took place within the reporting period, which is the 2021 title. So you could get your constructors points removed or taken off, deduction. And we have the Drivers' Championship as well for the third option. Then you have a suspension for one or more of the competition or competitions. So that could be like you're banned from doing practice sessions for the first half of the season or something like that. Something it'll have to be significant, or you're not allowed to compete in any of the first 4 races or something like that. Fifth option is limitations on the ability to conduct aerodynamic or any other testing, and reduction of the cost cap for that season, the following season. So it would be like for 2023, I think. And that all applies to minor. Was it a minor breach? So it's quite significant.
The minor breach,
because for the punishments are there, but what the problem is with the FIA, and I've said this before, is you can't put that out and not specify the exact amounts on what it leads to what. So, like, if you breach the cost cap by £100 or €100 or whatever it is, you get a public reprimand. If you do it by 100k to 500k, you get this and you get that, and you attribute each penalty to the value of what has been breached within that cost cap. Because first of all, 5% is a huge range. We're talking about 7 point something million and to 0 to £10. We're talking about a large range of money here that means quite a lot. And I think 7 million, you can definitely rebuild a whole car in terms of what you could do there, Kwame. I'm definitely sure you could bring in a B-spec car.
Oh, yeah. Then but not so, or somebody say that 7 mil is literally that's gonna change the the championship in the sense that that's gonna close the gap between teams. Like that's how much important is 7 mil, let alone the 125. So, and 7 million is a lot of money in just general speaking anyway. So
yeah, like honestly, we don't know what the breach is. Yeah. We don't know the exact amount. They have not announced what that breach is and the exact amount what that is. I don't know what the purpose of that Monday announcement was. If you're not going to tell us what the punishment was, what the amount was, or at least tell us what the amount was so we can kind of figure it out ourselves, because they don't know what they do. Let's be totally honest here. We're in a situation where they have no idea what they've put this cost cap in place, but they didn't expect somebody to breach it, or they didn't expect the punishment to be happening so soon. They thought, maybe I've got some time here to kind of work this out. But I think it's kind of naive of the FIA here, because if you're gonna have a cost cap and there's no hard lines, like you got hard lines for technical, Kwame, innit? You've seen if your rear wings open, even
we've seen the implications. Yeah,
when it's technical, they're on it. We saw it with what was it last year? Hungary, Seb didn't have enough fuel.
Last year was a good example. Yep.
You gotta go. So I want to ask you, why do you feel like they are dragging their heels a bit regarding these financial penalties, rather? Because technical penalties, they're on it. If you even if it's I overstepped the white lines, even racing sometimes they're on it. Like when it comes to slapping penalties out, but with this, they're dragging their heels. Why? Why do you think anyway?
And I've seen it. And to add to your point as well, like when it comes to the technical regulations, they have 0.1. If you're 0.1 millimeter, ring infringement, fix we've seen last year with the whole red ball situation, or like I said with Vettel, you get penalized. So I feel like, similar to you, I feel like it's been poorly drafted and poorly planned. I felt like they thought if they just put like a vague kind of figure out there, that teams will kind of, because they're the big bad FA, teams will listen, not knowing that, teams in F1, they're always known to kind of step over the line in terms of, regulations and, rules to get the best out of the car they can do. We've seen as well how certain teams like your Red Bulls and like your Ferraris have kind of tried to use the cost cap as ways of ditching the engineers, or like I said, changing roles, consultancy, or putting them in AlphaTauri or Haas, for example. So I feel like, to answer the question, it's because it's been poorly defined, and as a result, I thought it's poorly defined because it didn't feel like any team would kind of, notice the cost cap, and because they're in a situation now where Now a team has reached the cost cap. They haven't got it in printing where, if you go with this amount, then you're in trouble. If you go with that amount, you're in trouble. And it doesn't make any sense to us fans because we don't know how much they've gone over. I know the FI definitely knows how much they've gone over. So like they haven't got punishment ready for Red Bull. They're just kind of doing it off the rim. That makes sense.
What's the reason for them to not say that they've gone over, I don't know, 2 million? What's the point of holding back that information? Is it because they don't want to be held accountable for it? Because
I don't know.
If we know that if we know, for example, that they've breached over 1 million, what are we going to do about it? You can still make up the decision, but if there's there's going to be creative accounting involved in it at the end of the day. Teams are not dumb. Teams are smart. Red Bull probably hired a guy just to do it.
No teams are going to manipulate figures. We know that. Yeah.
But what I'm confused about is they said, "Oh, we don't actually know exactly." Do you know what? So I think it's quite irrelevant about what they are arguing about in terms of, oh, we've said this is part of the cost cap, but you've said it's not part of the cost cap. Because that's not relevant at the end of the day. Because if I'm Red Bull, I could just retrospectively say anything. I could say, oh, it's New's contract. He's a consultant, or it's catering, or it's this, whatever. That doesn't matter at the end of the day. Because you doing that gave you an advantage on the car, regardless. If you get what I'm saying. Because you've been able to spend more money in your car than other people. So whatever they spent that money on, whether it be consultants, whether it's whatever, that money went to the car. Whatever extra money is went to that car. So to deny that you didn't get an advantage over everybody else in terms of breaching that cost cap, it's a fallacy. I don't want to hear about, oh, we spent it on this, or we've accounted something else, or we had to make redundancies, or we assigned them to Red Bull powertrains or Red Bull advanced technology or whatever it is. You doing that, all of that creative counting and moving, shifting people around, or classing things under something else doesn't matter to me, because whatever money that was saved by doing that was spent on that car. So therefore you have an advantage over other people. And it's not only just, oh, it shagged Merck out of a title. Merck could have just been able to run away with it, whatever. Because technically, obviously, Merck had an advantage because Merck had an advantage from the previous years because they had a better car than Red Bull. I think that was the first like proper car that Red Bull had in the turbo highway area that could win consistent races. So what they've been able to do, Red Bull, is by being creative with the cost cap, was be able to close that gap and have a car that could match and beat Mercedes at the end of the day. And Mercedes was hampered because they had to scale it back, because you have to understand Mercedes spent a lot of money every year to maintain that 8 winning title streak. They put a lot of money into that, like way over the cost cap. They were spending like 300
as well. They were operating on loss, and the one reason why the cost cap was brought in was because teams like Mercedes, if it was Mercedes, Red Bull, and Ferrari were spending like 300 million plus, whilst teams like Williams were spending like barely, like, I don't know if it was Williams, but I want to say something like 10, 20 million, not a lot.
They're not even reaching cost cap, them teams.
Yeah.
They're not even reaching the cost cap now. Has nowhere near 145 million this year. So it's a difficult one at the end of the day. I think you've implemented something, you got to go harsh with it. You can't, as the FIA, you have to be the ones to be scary. You got to scare these teams, bro.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they have not, like, the implementation has been poor.
Okay, you, Kwame, you're a billionaire, yeah? Kwame Holdings. Man's got like 100 M's in the bank, 100 billion in the bank. You get me? You're clear, yeah? You enter Formula One. You got this team. You listen. You stay within the cost cap, and you see Red Bull have breached the cost cap, and by that measure, you've not been able to compete as fairly as everybody else. What action do you take as an owner?
You're going to overspend now. You're going to overspend to compete with Red Bull, because, like I said, Red Bull have not been punished clearly. If Red Bull have been punished clearly, then that'll be a detriment to the other teams. That'll be like, oh no, let's go back now. You've seen Toto Wolff come out saying that, oh no, we should have overspent. We should have overspent now because of Red Bull done. Like, it's showing the wrong, values, the wrong principles out of the situation that's meant to be. Now it's kind of just there for God's sake and nothing else.
Do you think? Okay, let me play devil advocate here. Yeah. do you think, Kwame, that Red Bull have been smart because they've looked at the regulations and they're saying, okay, there's no stipulations on exactly what I'm going to get punished for here. I might as well take the risk and do it. Do you think other teams are dumb for not doing it?
I won't say dumb. I'll say naive. Because, I'll say naive. I won't say dumb. I'll say Red Bull definitely smart. They've, seen the, regulations. They realize that, okay, there's probably nothing. We don't know the contracts ourselves, innit? We don't know the legislation behind it. But they probably read it and probably think that the advantage of them overspending the cost cap outweighs the negatives of them getting caught by the FIA, essentially. Whilst other teams probably saw, oh no, what's Born saying that, oh yeah, we'll get banned or whatever. I put one team shook now and they were like, okay, go listen to the FIA, don't get in trouble. Also, I guess PR is probably a thing as well. So yeah, for Red Bull to be smart, the other teams will say they'd be naive trying to listen to the FIA and how they go about it, essentially.
If let's say, for example, this is all hypothetical. If Red Bull have breached by 3 million, yeah, then they've said you were going to reduce they're going to pick maybe 3 of these options of the 6 that are here. So we're going to limit your testing, we're going to limit your cost cap, we're going to suspend you for a couple practice sessions in the year, or suspend you for a couple races, whatever, and we're going to deduct constructors points. So they've picked, I don't know, 4 out of the 6 punishments, but they've not done anything to the drivers or whatever, and they've done the public reprimand. Maybe they've done 5 out of 6. Yeah. If I'm sitting there and I'm Mercedes Ferrari, next year I'm breaching the cost cap. It's a no-brainer. It's an absolute no-brainer, because what hurts more? Okay, financially, obviously, constructors hurts more. Let's say, for example, Red Bull. Red Bull didn't win the constructors. This would be a peak situation if Red Bull won constructors last year. Could it be absolute no slam dunk? FIA is going to take the constructor title off them and then get all that money back and give all that money to Merck. But because they didn't win, bro, you could deduct 200 points off them. They would still be second in the constructors. They'll still get the prize money. But if it was like they won by 20 points to Mercedes and they deduct the constructor point, that will hurt them financially. But yeah, everybody says, oh, we only care about drivers' titles and so on. It's gonna be interesting how they navigate this. We're talking about you being a hypothetical boss. We've seen Zach Brown come out today. He's written a letter to the governing body in the FIA, and he said Red Bull breaching the budget cap constitutes the cheating and calls for penalties that will hit Red Bull financially on track. Do you agree with Zach Brown's sentiments, Kwame?
It is cheating. At the end of the day, it is cheating because the rules are there, and you didn't follow the rules. So at the end of the day, it is cheating if you're doing that in layman's terms. However, what was the other point he said?
He basically said Brown calls for penalties that will hit Red Bull financially and on track.
That's the thing. Like, hit them, financially, Red Bull, even if it hit them financially, they're still Gucci in the sense that, like, it's not a team that's relying. Obviously, yes, they're being backed by Red Bull here, $1 billion, engine company. But even if they take away, that little penalty, they've got resources there. They've still got, Asian Nui. They've still got Max there. They can still find a way. Like, they can take advantage from the previous seasons where they've done the cost cap to then improve. So I don't think it would do much. You know what I mean? That's the issue. And even we saying with penalty points, deduction of testing time. They got simulators there. Even they got simulators there that are just as good now as the testing. Even testing now in F1 is much reduced. You've only really got Barcelona preseason, and that's it compared to back in the day where off the current cars back in the day where you can do testing whenever. So I don't think it even does much, to be fair with you, but I don't blame Zach Brown sending a letter, because if I was him, I'll be salty. I'll be complaining. I'll be putting my hand up like miss. That guy cheated because it's unfair. Red Bull were kind of the bottom 3 of the McLaren, and now look at them. So yeah.
Okay, so yeah, obviously with McLaren, they could have spent more money. They could have got further constructors and wouldn't have fallen behind Ferrari. You know what I'm saying? They would have been able to spend that money. But then other people will say that Ferrari would have been able to spend more money and have a better car as well. And then when Hamilton was begging for upgrades in the middle of last season and couldn't get those upgrades because of that cost cap, and they were thinking about next year as well, that could have something to play. So yes, it's cheating, but And the cost cap is there to kind of bring the field together, because what we've seen in Formula One over the years is just the big teams you can come in and spend money. Mercedes came in, they spent money, big boy money. Ferrari have big boy money. Red Bull have big boy money, and that's what causes that, because other teams don't. Williams don't. McLaren for a long time did not have the money. For a long time, Haas does not have any money whatsoever. So even you put in a cost cap of 145 million, we're seeing Haas can't even. There's nowhere near 145 million. So does the cost cap work in the first place, or does it require every team to buy in? And does that cost cap have to go lower every single time for it to actually work?
And it's funny you said that, because that's the whole point of it. Because it starts with 145 million. They're going to go down next year. They're going to go down the year after. I think 145, 120 million. It's going to go down each year. And like I said, all the teams have to buy into it. If the teams don't buy into it, then it doesn't work out. And it does kind of shorten the gap between the high team and the low team, but that will be like a 10-year plan. It would happen straight away, because Mercedes still have the facilities there, but both have the facilities there. Even Aston Martin, they're kind of spending, yes, again, hold by the cost cap, but they're still spending the P's to catch up to them. So short term, it doesn't work, really, does it?
I think not in the short term. We're joined by a legendary guest, a legendary cast member. Brother Kunle, how you doing?
I'll go on, my people. Been a minute.
Welcome.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but I'm going to have to ask you a question. You know what I'm going to ask you?
Yeah, sure.
Why do you have a Scuderia Ferrari on your chest?
Ignore this. No, sorry. Ignore this part of the shirt and just look at this part.
This guy's a McLaren fan, you know. This is insane stuff that I'm seeing right now.
Nah. You know, this scenario is like of an up of my up is an up. So
I hear that.
You know, it's a little short-term collaboration.
Yeah, I hear that. But said that. Let me just lace my bad luck with that still. Let me just sprinkle that, you hear me? But yeah, Kunle, you've caught us in the middle of the conversation about the cost cap. The question I just asked, Kwame, is it even worth it? Does it even work? What's your thoughts?
I mean, clearly it doesn't work because the teams that are still winning are still winning. The cost cap. So the cost cap is meant to like say you cannot spend more than a certain amount of money across the year.
145 million for this year.
Across the year, right?
Yeah.
So if before the cost cap I could spend 300 million and I have to cut it down to 145, yeah, maybe I'm losing out on some things. But if before the cost cap I could only spend 70 million, and even after the cost cap I can still only spend 70 million, then I'm still where I am.
It means nothing,
right?
But it's like the meme, you know that meme.
Yeah,
my man doesn't move for 40 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm just, bro, you ain't done that.
No, it's still the same. Like the big teams, I mean, it might slightly affect them. They might not be able to bring in improvements as they would, but then you have to keep it in context that they bring in those improvements against other big teams. Ferrari are not competing with Haas. You get me? I don't know if I'm speaking sense.
Yeah, definitely. I understand. What all it's done is brought the teams that are rich and blowing money closer together.
Basically.
So it's brought Mercedes down, it's brought Ferrari up. You know what I'm saying? And it's just kept them within each other much closer. So you can see the competition. It has no effect on the rest of the teams.
Basically, it has no effect.
If I'm asked about what's the point of this cost cap, what's it got to do with me?
True. So, like, if Papa Stroll could throw in 3 M's, now you can only throw in 145 M's. It's a bit pissed because it's like, I'm trying to build a project here. I need to spend my money to build that project. But
he can't do a Mercedes. Mercedes was blowing bread.
Exactly. He's not trying to go against Mercedes because if he's trying to throw in 3 M's, Mercedes can decide, you know what? We bring in all of our profits from Germany, from every road car we sell, and we're throwing it into our F1 program. Even though it's going to be running on a loss, we just want to have the bragging rights that we're F1 champions, and they're throwing the money. And it makes, like...
And the thing is, I think one thing that's ignored in Formula One, and I think we've kind of lost in the trees. Everybody talks about the money being spent year by year. If you do not have the infrastructure in place, forget about it. What's the cost cap going to do? If man in Maranello's got elite wind tunnel, got CFD model, they've got every single thing in the world, top facilities, and I'm Williams and I ain't got none of that. What am I supposed to do with this cost cap? How is that going to help me? They still got the facilities to develop the better car. So they limit the time that you use it, but the actual facilities itself.
Not the same though. I hear that. Yeah, I hear that. Because I'm nothing they'll try bringing in and try to limit. If you're like last place, you get more wind tunnel time than people in first place. So, but like you said, the facilities though will be different. That's the thing. So,
bro. So like, let's
hold on, Kunle. If I get more wind tunnel time, but my facilities are whack. My facilities looking like Team Sport Greenwich, like it's whack. And you got big boy facilities, and you have a less time than I do. You're still gonna make a better car than me.
Because I have better equipment.
Better equipment.
I just gotta utilize my time in there better.
Be efficient with the time. Yeah.
It's simple, right? It's quite simple. So it's like let's take it back to like something that everyone can probably relate to. Football. Now, let's say suddenly the FA say, okay, teams, over the next 5 years, you can spend more than $200 million on new signings. So everyone is capped at $200 million. Now, you look at a Man City, they already got Haaland, De Bruyne, Foden. They already have in-place quality. Now you're comparing them to, what can I say, fucking Nottingham Forest or Bournemouth. And now you're telling Bournemouth you can't spend more than 200 million, and that's limiting Bournemouth in a way, because like even if they want to sign more players, they got to keep it to a limit. So what they already have is not even good enough to compete. Even if they were going to sign players, it might not even be good enough to compete with what the big boys already have.
So this is a problem though. This is a major problem with Formula One and FIA and what they see themselves as, because even in that football scenario, yeah, you're not hampered. I think you're hampered by obviously one team having lots of money and buying foreign players and getting all the best names in and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, let's say, for example, you've got a team and they've got a really good youth academy and all the up-and-coming players are coming through your figure. You've naturally, organically grown that. You could beat a big boy team just because at the end of the day, you're on equal playing field. If you're in a car that's rubbish, you could be I could put Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen in the deadest car right now. They're not winning races, no matter how talented they are. So it's very much a question of, does F1 see themselves as entertainment, or do they see themselves as a sport? Because if you see themselves as a sport, yeah, right now it's not sporting because there's no parity, there's no fairness. Because if I put the top drivers in the bottom car, they're not going to win the race. Obviously, there's two components of Formula One. It's a sport in the sense of the drivers and their talents and so on, but also it's an engineering competition, right? But is it a level player field for either of those people? Is it a level player field for people that are engineers to build a car? No. Is it a level player field for those drivers in the car? No, it isn't. So where do we see this as a sport? Because other sports, there is a level player field there in terms of the actual stuff you can do on them. Like if I'm a rubbish football club or a rubbish basketball team in terms of money, I ain't got no money like that, but I've got talent on the court and I've got talent on the field. Guess what? I'm still winning games. I'm still cooking. Because it's more weighed towards the human's ability to perform. Formula One is about, can my engineers make the best out of a bad situation? Can my drivers make the best out of a bad situation in the car? Unless you provide absolute parity amongst engineers and drivers, are we looking at a sport? It's the difficult question. We're here to have uncomfortable
That's a good question though, because that's a good question, because here's the thing though, like a lot of people will be saying, if you make, Formula One,
Spec series.
Spec series, yeah, there we go. The spec series where all the specs of the cars are the same thing. the people say that engineering side, that aerodynamics side of F1 is gone because all the cars are literally the same. But then you've got series like IndyCar, even F2, where it's technically a spec series, but there are fundamental differences to the cars, and different teams have, different finances between them where it does make it competitive. So that's the interesting conversation. I feel like with the cost cap, I remember what they were saying, it's meant to be a draw for more teams to come in, because if I'm an investor coming to the series and I'm seeing the Mercedes Red Bull blowing 300 M's and I've only got 200 M's, I'm gonna be like, nah, I don't want it. But if they bring it now to 145, 140 M's, then I feel like, yo, I can invest. But you're not letting in these new investors coming in, which doesn't make any sense. You've got Andretti want to come in, but you're saying no to them. So what everyone's trying to do with the cost cap, they're trying to make it equal, but it's gonna be 10-year plan for that to do. Even then, like, it doesn't sort the situation now, like you're saying, because F1 is too reliant on facilities and equipment and money for the engineers to produce that car.
I still think even in 10 years, it's still. I don't see how it's going to be significantly. I don't think it's going to be significantly closer, because like we've already said, like the basis, the foundation is that I've got a better foundation than you have. Even if you walk into money, like even if someone decides to invest money in a trash team, they're already behind. They're not built.
I hear it. Rough, man. I hear it.
They're behind. Like, they don't have the foundation that a Ferrari has. They don't have the foundation that a Mercedes have. They don't have the foundation that a Red Bull have. But Red Bull they have a sister team. That's how their foundation is. Like, they don't have. Do you get my point? Like, they have an academy of drivers where, like, they can always go in and spin the wheel.
Bro, the infrastructure is crazy. It's like Tesco's competing with Corner Shop, brother.
Bro.
Yeah.
You're putting me out of business, bro.
Yeah, I hear that. Tesco got generational wealth. I hear that Bossman hasn't. So Red Bull, no Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, generational wealth, heritage.
Tesco can wake up one day and say they're buying out all the cost cutter shops. All the cost cutter shops, and they're turning them into Tesco. What do you do about that?
None.
Elmont Marco can wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, I've been speaking to the lads at Red Bull. We're going to buy over Haas. It's going to be our third team if regulations allow them to do that. They've got the bag for that. So what do you like? The foundational element is always going to be that. The fact that certain things would always have veto power is always going to be that. Like, it's never going to be the best competition you can have at most is the guys that are already foundationally strong, having strong engineering and strong aerodynamics and strong cars so that they can compete against each other. The midfield would always be the midfield. The lower teams would always be the lower teams. Maybe one year a team from the lowest, maybe 1 year one team decides to grow from being a lower team to a midfield, but you're not just going to make that jump from being a midfield team to a top team in 1 year by cost cap.
Do you know what? I think maybe cost cap might work, but it needs to be also joined by like a kind of minimum spend limit as well. Like, listen, there needs to be like, and this is not only this is FIA's fault at the same time. This is Formula One's fault at the same time, because you've got franchises there that have no interest in winning. There are teams there that has no, like, Haas has no intention. I'm telling you right now, this is why I kind of want them out of F1. They have no intention of building that team to be a race winning car. They have no intention whatsoever. They're just there for vibes.
I mean, the first year, Gini was a bit loud in the first year, but after the first year,
he realized his pockets are swelling.
Yeah,
and in the wrong way. They're leaking, bro, with water. He's got real issues. And the thing is, at the end of the day, if you put in a minimum spend, like, you have to spend 100 M's, and the max you can spend is 110 M's. You're bringing parity in terms of, okay, now let's see what your engineers can do now. Obviously, we're still allowing the space for innovation within your own facilities and stuff like that. But we're dealing with a narrow window here, because you have to spend a certain amount, and it's about what you do with that money, right?
So it stops. It stops being you can only spend up to this. So it starts being you have a base of $130 million, how creative can you be with your $130 million?
That's an engineering competition, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like
sure,
that's
sure.
where the competition. That's where the competition now comes in. Like, you know, are you training in straight line speed? Are you training in corners? That's up to you now. That lets me know whether or not your engineering team is actually about that engineering life. Because now they've got money, they cannot complain about not having money.
But
Sure,
yeah, but
same.
that needs Formula One to say we're only having, if they're gonna go to this franchise model, like how it is in the NFL and the NBA,
Yeah.
where you've got a certain amount of teams, these are legacy teams, they just stay there. There's no new teams coming into this thing.
Yeah.
If you want to keep it as 10 or 11 or 12, yeah, you need to make sure every single one of these teams are able to afford that minimum spend and they spend it.
Or worst case scenario, just throw all of these small teams together. If they don't have money, let them put their money up together and like form like.
Because if we're really saying, okay, this is a sport, we need to provide that we need to be able to give these drivers the platform to be working equally.
And I think with that, if they can, sorry, Kwame, if they can have that in place, then the quality of driver increases, because now you know you're providing a car that should be strong to bring in performances. You don't want to have a shit driver driving it.
If the pace gap between the fastest car and the slowest car is 4 tenths, driver can make it up.
That's
driver still can make it up.
Yeah,
with a good competition as well, getting close as well.
I know one driver who ain't making it up though.
So it's a good man.
Make it up.
Charles
oh God, no, God off.
He's gonna spin.
Of all people, not even him. You know,
he's gonna go wide out. He's gonna go wide at the last corner.
Yeah, but then it puts more focus on the drivers and what their abilities are. But at the end of the day, yeah, we've got the situation in Formula One where, man, they're all at the club, they're at the table, they got bottles. Certain man can't contribute to the table.
They can't afford the bottles.
Can't afford the bottles.
$8 grand a night, but you ain't putting no peas.
They didn't put in on the table like that.
Hey.
And that's what
wake up to the bill, man. Certain man are running.
Certain man are running at the table.
But no, the issue is though, like with all this though, I hear you, man. But F1 is well, if they're gonna vote that, they're gonna vote, try and make it equal cost that everyone spends up to, You gotta have teams like Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull gonna veto this. That's the biggest issue of this, because them teams have got too much power and they've got too much control over everyone else.
Why would they veto a minimum spend? What's that got to do?
Because they can spend more.
Yeah, but if the let's say I'm doing a random one right now. Let's say it's $120 million to $130 million. That's not much of a difference. That $10 million is not much of a difference at the end of the day. And even if you're the lower teams or the bottom end, you can source that 10 mil via investment. So you should be able to do. And then it really sticks the onus on your engineers. At the end of the day, you can give everybody parity, but you ain't got the guys that you ain't got the engineers like that. Nui might even stand out even more because he's created something with such a little budget, and you've got a media engineer. It doesn't equal out the actual talent, and the talent of those engineers and all the staff and stuff are going to flock to the top teams anyway at the end of the day. But the wages are within that structure. We're at a point right now where they've put something in. They've put this cost cap. Bring it back to the cost cap. They put this cost cap in place, and they didn't really think through the next steps of how this breaks Formula One closer. And they didn't think through how do we scare teams off from overspending right now. Because right now, they've said Red Bull's breached the cost cap. It's definitely giving them an advantage. I'm saying, okay, this is just me waffling on now, but obviously it's up to 7-point-something million is a minor cost cap breach. If they've spent 50k over, I'm not bothered about that. They can just get a slap on the wrist, whatever. If they've spent even 500k over, something big has to happen if you want to make this cost cap work at the end of the day. And the cost cap needs to be met with a lower minimum limit as well, because what's the point of this? And you need to start forcing the sale of teams, man. Man, have to start doing Donald Sterling, Felix Stunts things. You need to start forcing the sale of teams. If you can't afford, you got to go, man.
True, man. There's bear man out there.
Man saying Hassler,
Hass, I'm looking at you. I've got the shades on. I'm looking at you, Hass. You need to sell your team to Andretti right now, because Andretti's got bread.
Andretti's got bread.
So bring him into the sport.
Andretti's got name too. He's got clout.
That's heritage right there.
And he's got bread.
I don't know you,
Whole
brother.
family, man.
I don't know you, brother. But okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about what the punishment should be. So Red Bull, we confirmed they breached. I went through the possible punishments that have gone under that. I'll go over it again for the listeners and for Kunle's benefit.
Okay.
A minor sporting penalty is either 1, a public reprimand, 2, a deduction of constructors' championship points for the season that has happened,
Okay.
3, a deduction of championship points, 4, a suspension for 1 or more stages of a competition. So that could be like not letting them race for like 3 races or kick them out of practice session. They can't do practice for like half a season or something like that. Limitations on 5, limitations on the ability to conduct aero and other testing. So that's just testing time. Or 6, reduction of cost cap. So that could be a combination. It says 1 or more of the following. This is directly lifted out of the regulations. So it could be a combination of these things. Kunle, I'm going to ask you 2 questions actually first.
Okay.
If they've breached under 500k, what should the punishment be? If they breach over 500k, what should the punishment be?
If they breach under 500, a reprimand's okay. Under 500, like, I mean, it's still a breach, but a reprimand, and I'll probably for a breach, I'll probably take like the two of the like lightest penalty, maybe a reprimand and take away some practice time. You're on mute, brother.
Sorry, so they can't do like practice 1 for like 6 races. Or
Yeah, so like take away practice, like. But then if I was going to be like extremely petty, it would be take away practice in certain places where they actually do need practice. Like take away practice in Singapore, or take away practice when it's gonna be wet all weekend. They don't know what their tires would feel like. You're still on mute.
Harsh punishment would be just like you're not allowed to go quali. You're not allowed to do quali for the year.
Yeah,
Man has to start P20 every race.
but then like
Recovery drive.
knowing it's new. I mean, it's not for Perez. That's light work. That's normal. That's a day-to-day lifestyle for him already. Anyway,
That's true. That's true. so over 500k.
Over 500k. I like the idea of constructors and drivers reduction for both
So
the
that
drivers.
That would mean it wouldn't mean anything for constructors, right? Because Ferrari was too far behind them anyway.
Yeah,
Red Bull. But for driver's title, that means he's getting stripped of his title.
yeah, sort of. You get stripped because again, you've gotten a competitive advantage, regardless whether or not they want to say, "Oh, used for catering," or like when you're hearing teams are saying they laid off people. You know, people that were critical to their success got laid off just so they could fit in everything into the budget. We're out here blowing 7 M's on McDonald's. Keeping your employer, you know, flying in Noble, keeping your people.
It doesn't even matter. I think it
doesn't even matter what it is.
It doesn't matter what it is because the money that you said
that
you
money,
spent on that was actually spent on fixing the car.
Exactly.
So whatever they spent that money on, consultants, strippers,
doesn't matter.
Food, it don't matter because that money was used for something else to fix the car.
There's no reason why you should be having strippers and they don't have strippers in Brackley. Even if you want strippers.
We want stripper parity.
Yeah.
In the sport.
You want strippers, everyone gets strippers.
We want food parity. People,
exactly.
everybody
everyone should eat, right? Everyone should like deserve to eat. So I feel like that constructors and drivers is quite paramount. Like, you know, or worst case scenario, if they're not gonna do that. I mean, if they're not gonna do that, then why are we here?
Ross Brawn said these regulations have teeth. You'll lose your championship.
I swear McLaren got like stripped off championship for less.
2007, they won constructors by a mile. Constructors got stripped
for less.
100 M's to their head. Fine.
Tops. Like
even now McLaren are still recovering.
Yeah. It's been
if I tell you what, if we did like real life, what 100 M's is in 2007 to now, what that means now, that's big boy fight. You've never seen anything like this.
That's pre financial crash as well, man.
That's pre first recession.
Mm-hmm.
Now, bro. Nah, they got no. FIA they gotta be more strict. They need to show that they're not in Red Bull's pocket. Regardless, and this is not because it's going to be mean. This is not because it's going to mean Lewis Hamilton wins or Max doesn't win. It just means if it was Mercedes that were breaching the rules, I'm going to be sitting here slandering Toto Wolff for taking the championship of Lewis. That's what I'm going to be doing here. Because if you cannot manage your team and your budget, then what are you doing? So yeah, the punishment has to be there.
If they don't, do you know what? Retrospectively, let's say I was an investor. If I see Red Bull don't get punished, I'd be getting onto my team saying, "Why did you breach cost cap? What are you lot doing? What do I pay lawyers for? Who's reading the regulations? What's happening there?" I'd be onto him. But yeah, Kwame, same question. Under 500k, what should the punishment be if it's over 500? I don't know why I'm saying 500 because the new wing could be like 300. Let's say 50. Okay, let's not even say 5. Let's do something where it's not even.
No, that's 5. Okay, cool.
So under 50k, what is it?
I feel like this. Cool. She get a reprimand, and then she get a fine twice the amount they spent.
And that's it. Slap on the wrist.
Yeah, slap on the wrist. Yeah.
And then over.
Boy, I feel like
think about it. Front wings at 300, bro.
Boy, you know how big a front wing is a downforce into speed. Boy, I think they should get like I said, man, like the FIA needs to show that they're the boss. They need to punish Red Bull for this because if they don't, then the other team are going to look at this cost cap like a joke and they're just going to run away with it. So I feel like they should get. I originally would have said deducted points for constructors, but that wouldn't do anything anyways for them. So I feel like they should get disqualified from the constructors. Drivers never get touched, man. That's the issue. Like usually I'll say drivers as well, but drivers.
But it's benefited the driver. It's benefited the driver though.
That's the thing. So I think drivers there should be deducted points as well. They should be deducted. Not disqualified because obviously drivers are driving the car, but they should get deducted a little point somewhere, and again that will affect the 2021 season, and the fine as well. So, because like you said, 2007 Spygate was much more worse.
Yeah, but it didn't actually affect the
testing time as well.
It didn't affect the championship though. 2007, it was way worse.
That's because
you're stealing designs, but that wasn't used to build that car.
I feel like
so the Alonso and Hamilton did not benefit from that, and I just did it like right now the inflation calculator. Kwame, Kunle, I just did the inflation calculator. 100 M's in 2007 is worth 154 M's right now.
That's money.
That's all money.
If somebody got 154 M fine right now, they'll be killed.
That's more than the cost. That's more than the cost. That's more than cost cap, no?
Yep. Bankruptcy. Yep, it is. Cost cap 145. So yeah, there you go. That's big money. I feel like as well. You know what? That's a fair I think fine for them. Get fined the cost cap.
The whole cost cap. Red Bull will just eat that, man. Come on, man. Let's be serious.
Red Bull got money, bro. Red Bull got money.
That's the thing. But no, I feel like testing times. I feel like they should get banned from pre-testing as well.
25 billion Red Bull worth.
They're gonna just sell a couple players from Leisberg, from Salzburg.
Mahad,
that's the thing. Say it again.
Man, that's the thing. Even if you find them $1 billion, they're Gucci. You do know that.
I don't think it would hurt them, but like I don't think a financial fine on its own is enough.
Because Formula One is a loss-making scenario. These companies are here to make losses. It's a promotion tool.
Yeah.
It's a marketing tool. So Mercedes entered Formula One to market their cars. It's a financial loss.
AMG.
It's some cost.
Rebranding out AMG. That's their thing.
Me personally,
I say.
So you say constructors, drivers' points. Me personally, if I was in charge of the FIA, I would ban them for a season.
That's a bit harsh.
That's harsh, still. That's harsh.
That's 4 cars. That's 4 cars of the. That's 2 cars of the grid.
Yeah, it's 2 cars of the AlphaTauri. If you want to put Max in an AlphaTauri for the year, you can do that. I'm not stopping you.
That's it.
But Red Bull, there's only 9 teams. There's only 9 teams on the grid.
Listen.
Actually,
They can just move. They can just shift everyone from Red Bull to AlphaTauri, and everything
you
runs
could
as
do a
usual.
full sell. You could do a full sell of AlphaTauri.
You could do 4 sell of AlphaTauri. 4 sell of AlphaTauri. You are suspended. You are suspended from the 2023 season. Your whole team.
None of your teams.
That will burn.
Nah, they're gonna go court for that.
You lose your driver.
Mahad
Max
did reband.
We'll see.
Yeah,
They'll drop signs in 2 seconds. He'll be a Ferrari. Max will be a
Total's
Ferrari right now.
dropping Russell in a minute.
What if Red Bull were banned from from?
Bro, he's signing up.
And
Max.
Perez and Max are available. He's signing Max.
There's gonna be an audition for Max. Basically, teams are gonna be throwing money at him.
Bro, it's gonna be like the scramble for Neymar, bro. Everybody's gonna be trying to get this guy.
You remember when Hazard was leaving Leo?
Oh yeah, when he did the tweet.
Clubs
seven
clubs in Europe. That's what it's gonna be like. Yeah.
But even though it's not practical, listen, you gotta send the message, even though it's not even on that list.
Yeah.
But because I don't. I mean, at the end of the day, what does it matter? What does it matter? What does it matter if you take his driver championship?
We know what the fine is gonna be, right? It's just gonna be like a reprimand.
It doesn't.
So.
It's
gonna be
fine. It's gonna be hefty.
Allegedly,
it has to be hefty.
It has to be hefty because allegedly they've gone over. Allegedly, it's between $1 million and $2 million. Allegedly, like these are rumors, but 1 million, 2 million.
That's hella upgrades. That's hella upgrades.
Yeah. What's
No wonder why they kept upgrading the whole season.
What's Aston Martin's things?
There's procedure breach. It's just like giving paper
nothing
late.
to do with money.
It's like giving paper late. Yeah, they're cool. Just like giving the paper late. Yeah.
Because I was getting on to Aston. Because I was like, Aston, you can't make a dead car and be cheated.
I mean, they can hold one too.
Aston Martin will be. Williams. I'm telling you now, Aston Martin's cheating. When they get into that to the top, they're gonna cheat.
I mean, if you
can see it in Lawrence Stroll's eyes.
They're definitely cheating if they're signing Alonso. That man has no fucking morals.
Man said Stroll's crashing into the wall. Singapore 23, you know. Stroll's crashing into the wall randomly.
Yeah, definitely cheating if they have Alonso.
Interesting. But yeah, just to close up my thoughts on it, like there has to be serious punishment on it, or you just got to rework the whole thing, man. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, FIA needs to rework the whole cost cap. We need to introduce something to bring the teams closer together or get the media teams out of it and being able to sell those franchises to teams that actually got money, like Audi and all that kind of stuff. Because Sauber's already gone to Audi. That's parity right there financially. But it needs to be harsh, man. Bare minimum, you got a strip championship. Bare minimum. And people might say, yeah, but Max has got nothing to do with it. Max wasn't doing the calculation. He's just a driver. He's just an employee. But he benefited. And so did Perez. And so did Red Bull Racing. They benefited from breaching at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because I wish my team cheated. Hey, listen, if Ron Dennis was in charge, he would have cheated. 1,000,000%. If you're still in charge of McLaren right now, it would be 2 teams that have breached the cost cap. And McLaren would be one of them. Because Ron Dennis is breaching that cost cap because he's not scared of the FIA.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I tweeted this morning. Zach Brown is not really doing it for me.
No, he's already planning right now, Zach Brown, to breach the cost cap.
I don't see him. I see Zach Brown here. Like, I don't see him as, goody two shoes. He's like nice, he's sweet. He's signing drivers for 16 million.
I don't believe.
No, I don't believe that.
I don't believe that. He sacked Daniel Ricciardo, man. He's ruthless, man.
He gave him
7 man signed the contract at one time.
Kunle. Let me tell you this about Zach Brown.
All right, preach to me, brother.
Zach Brown signed Oscar Piastri on a preliminary contract on June 1st.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oscar Piastri was in the paddock in McLaren in the first race because Daniel Ricciardo had COVID. So he was going to step in, but Daniel Ricciardo came in last minute, right? Then he came into the paddock again in early May, because Lando Norris was unwell between like Monaco and Barcelona.
The flu period. And
the flu period, yeah? And he still beat Daniel.
Yeah, still beat him.
You have to understand, at McLaren, they made that decision in May. Daniel wasn't even performing crazily bad like that. And they already made it. They said, we're going to get Oscar. Not because Daniel was bad, because they thought Oscar could be even a bigger talent than Lando. Let's get him. Alpine sleeping at the wall. This brother's ruthless, man. He sacked the guy and was smiling at his face for how long?
Yeah, I'm waiting to be convinced, but yeah, let's see. This is not a Zach Brown pod, but I'm waiting.
That guy will be telling Rogers to conch. That's him. I've seen, you
Man
know,
said,
great
yo,
PRs there.
bring me back
But-
some bread.
Yeah,
Send these Rogers out, man.
but Red Bull, they need to be severe. They need to be punished. It needs to send a message because right now,
leave F1, man. Enough.
right now, the thing is, if they feel like they can do a certain amount over the cost cap, what's stopping Ferrari from doing the same? What's stopping Mercedes from doing the same?
They would have. They would have.
What's stopping McLaren? What's stopping McLaren from doing the same next year? Like, what's stopping everyone else from doing the same? Everyone that has the money. What's like? There's nothing stopping them since it's right there. There's the punishment is already. There's already precedent. Like, oh, you only just give them a reprimand. What's stopping Red Bull from doing it again?
You know me.
Yeah,
I'll edit that. But what I'm saying is, okay, we got a lot of questions from listeners regarding cost cap, so we might as well go through them now before we wrap up the cost cap. Let's get to it. Let's get to it, guys. If you was a team principal of an F1 team in the current season, would you publicly be vocal about the findings of the 2021 cost cap investigation? What would your position? What would your stance be? I think we covered a little bit over this, but I actually asked Kunle this. I actually asked Kwame this already. So Kunle, if you was a team principal, what would you be saying?
Oh, I'm singing. I'm in the news every day. I don't care. I'm burning the bridge. Like, why would I not complain unless I plan to do the same or unless I'm doing the same? You're going, like, you know, it's a competition. Like, I'm there to win. Like, it's the same reason why they complain on the track when someone takes a corner and says, oh yeah, you have to give the place back. That's the same reason. I mean, this is on a bigger scale. It's cost over the season. I've followed the rules. Why can't you not follow the rules? I'm definitely complaining. Every day there's a news article with my name. Red Bull should be punished. Every
man said is every magazine, Guardian.
I'm paying.
Okay,
Daily Mail.
Hey, listen.
Daily Mail, World Star Hip Hop.
I'm gonna find influencers. I'm gonna pay influencers to make Red Bull must pay trend.
Bro, don't kill me. Man saying Love Island girl saying
put the monster can over the Red Bull can.
He's getting Love Island girls to just post up on their instas.
Ban
Red Bull.
Bro, I'm paying them to take a picture with the can, squeezing the Red Bull can to saying ban Red Bull. They're bad for the environment.
Ban Red Bull. Man's gonna go viral like Coney 2012, bro.
Bro, that's FIA would have no choice. They might have to call me and reprimand me because I'm doing the most. That's how bad it's gonna be.
Don't kill me, man. Hey, listen, we're glad that you're not a team principal.
I'll still sign Neo to my team though.
I'll be all over you, bro. I'll be like, let's go, fam. Come through, man. Come through, man. They don't treat you right, bro.
They treat you right.
Now look after you, baby.
You get McDonald's in the budget.
Woo! Thank you, RDM Ghost One, for that question. Got a question from very own cast member Richard. What do you think is acceptable punishment for RB? I think we covered that, brother. With regard to the cost cap, this is from @Sam1 Bolaro. With regards to the cost cap, what do you think the FI needs to do to be seen as a credible organization? Follow-up question: do you think that will actually happen? They're not going to do that. We spoke about what we think it should be. We touched on it, but we spoke about what we think it should be. What do you think will happen, though? Kwame, what do you think will happen?
We said it before. To get a fine in it. I think to get a breach, to get a reprimand, little fine, 25k.
No CFD, no testing time reduction, no cost cap reduction.
How would they even get that? They might get like a little bit, of a rental deduction, But even then, I think how the FI have been so soft so far this season when it comes to off late. Anyways, Max Mosley days, Bernie days, they're on quads. Right now, they're a bit more, you do you. So I don't think it's gonna happen. I've got to say though, I feel one thing that'll be interesting to see is if they flip the financial costs. So teams at the bottom get more money than teams at the top. But again, I don't think teams will back that.
Yeah, why does that? What, bro?
The prize money makes no sense either.
F1,
Prize money
hey,
makes no
the
sense.
prize money makes no sense. Hey, listen, FIA is not getting no credibility out of it, man. Come on, man. This is a joke, bro. Obviously, yeah, the prize money, if you're first, you should win, whatever. And we don't want to incentivize tanking because imagine you get 30 M's finishing lost. Man will be fighting for the bottom. Man will be hiring Mazepin in seconds. Latifi's staying in a job, tanking for that money, boy.
But
It'd be like a scam.
Hey, but then if you have Latifi and Mazepin in your team, and you tank, but the money you get from tanking, you're just gonna use it to like buy new parts all year long. Because them man are gonna be shit. I'm breaking your car every.
It'll balance out.
It's gonna be,
we're thanking for more money, but we're spending
your money. You're still
30
spending more.
Bloody
Crazy
nightmare. All right, Kunle, that question: what do you think will actually happen? We asked you what you think, what you want to happen.
I think it's gonna be just a reprimand, man. Just
reprimand.
I think it's
all
gonna
the
be
5 choices there, you know, 6.
Not even a fine.
choices.
I think it's gonna be a reprimand and maybe like a 20 million fine. That's what I think it is. It's gonna be a 20 million fine, and you know, if you do this again, it's gonna be more severe.
That's light to them, man. Horner finds that behind the sofa, man.
Bro, that's not even Horner.
Jerry Halliwell spends that on makeup, bro.
I mean, them man don't have sauce in there, but yeah.
Bloody hell, bro. All right. Yeah, and with regards to the question about does the FIA need to do something about credible?
Does Horner even have like a bad B watch? Does he even wear like a sick watch?
No, he probably does. All these men got Richard Mills, man. Come on, man. Richard Mills.
Yeah.
Nah, I think man probably have like a G-Shock side, man. Not even.
No, stop that. He's breaded, man. If I type in Horner's net worth, you're gonna be screaming.
Yeah, he's got money, but like, does he even? You don't have.
Man, he was a direct CEO the other day. We know he's got.
You don't have sauce, man.
He's got 50 M's net worth.
Yeah, bro, that's like that's not even
that's where his missus got to be Richard, isn't it?
50 M's. That's why he's been team principal.
She's a bloody Spice Girl.
That's why he's been team principal Kwame's whole life, and he's still got those 50 M's.
Don't kill me, man. Don't kill me. Yeah, so she's apparently on here. She's worth 40 M's. So, boy, she could pay the bills as well.
Yeah, income household is looking nice still.
But yeah, with regards to his question, thank you for the question, Samwan Bolaro. But with the question about can the FIA be seen as a credible organization? No, never.
Nah, they've never. The FIA have not been credible since.
Absolutely never.
Since FIA started.
We've got a question from. This isn't even a question. At Tarmac Talk, Athena. Shout out to Athena. I'd like a roast of the FIA, please. We do that every day. We've got fat over it.
We're never gonna get invited anywhere because like you don't.
We're not getting to any of these FIA.
None of these FIA events. We're never gonna get FIA. We're never gonna get FIA influencer money because like.
Yeah, don't confuse with another product as well. Pitstop. We're different.
Oh yeah. all right, cool.
Yeah,
okay, no more questions about cost cap. I hope we covered that. Spoke about cost cap for an hour and 3 minutes. Come on, guys, man. We're giving you content here, man.
Cost cap is boring, man.
But we gave him an hour and 3 minutes. And it's listen, we have to talk about sporting integrity here, and we have to question if it's a sport in the first place. I'm not gonna lie. We're gonna have to have these deep, honest conversations here. I know people love the sport and everything, but
the FIA don't even.
We're in WWE territory right now.
The FIA don't even see it as a sport. They see it as entertainment, bro.
Yeah, we're in WWE territory, and that's a problem. So let's see what we've got here before we end today.
Is there like any pending listener questions from like previous weekends?
Check the quotes as well.
I'm not gonna lie.
Check the quotes as well.
I got the quotes. I got the quotes. At RayX Killy, shouts to RayX Killy. Kota hosting F1, MotoGP, and IndyCar on the same race weekend. Do you think it could work, or will it be overkill for the fans and teams? Just general thoughts on this, really.
Oh, they're hosting F1.
So F1, MotoGP, and IndyCar on the same race weekend. On the same track.
At the same circ. Oof. Boy, the marshals are work. They're gonna be working on track. My boy.
Overwork. They're volunteers as well. God damn.
The volunteers are gonna be dying. But how are they gonna do the ticketing structures though? Is it gonna be like MotoGP first? Because MotoGP is relatively, but then MotoGP have like GP1, GP2, GP3. that run the same weekends. No?
Yeah, they always run like Moto2, Moto3.
Moto
always
2,
run.
Moto 3.
So first of all, you'd have to drop everybody out. I don't want to see no F2 cars there. I don't want to see no Moto2 cars. It would literally have to just be back to back, MotoGP, IndyCar, Formula One, and run it that way. Because you can run 3 events on the same day, because they are doing it with F2 and F3, and they do it with Moto2 and Moto3. So
yeah,
time wise, you can do it.
Time wise, you can do it. But obviously, IndyCar is going to be the last race, right?
It would have to be.
IndyCar is going to be the last
unless you're saying Formula One's top of the pyramid, yeah, which you would. But if it's in America, IndyCar.
If it's in America, IndyCar is likely going to be the last. MotoGP is going to be the first. I don't think there will be many people. I don't know what the numbers for MotoGP in the US is like, but
they don't have a lot of American drivers. Right?
They don't. Yeah,
not anymore. Anyway, do you know what? Do you know what would happen though? Low key, Formula One would be embarrassed. They'd get embarrassed themselves. Do you know why they're going to embarrass themselves? We're going to see races more exciting.
True.
MotoGP is more exciting. IndyCar is more exciting. So you're going to see actual races.
Kota is always like a very exciting track when there's competitive drive.
And that's a big gift for Formula One because there's too many variables in the sport.
Because there's they have that. Hey, Lewis was chasing Max for like. It was quite exciting. I mean, in front.
That's it. IndyCar, everybody's on smoke all throughout the grid.
Very close.
MotoGP, man are finishing within 1 second of each other on the last lap.
So who loses? Who loses?
7 banks.
What do you think loses out in this case, or who's going to?
I think it reflects bad on
who gets more fans from the weekend: MotoGP, F1, or IndyCar?
IndyCar. Because if you're watching it for Formula One,
in America,
you're more likely to watch other cars.
Like worldwide.
Worldwide. Okay, let's say, for example,
in terms
worldwide.
Of like TV and stuff.
Formula One fans, yeah.
I think,
all over the world will log in thinking they want to watch Formula One, and then they'll see IndyCar race, that other cars, and then they're going to see a banger of a race. And they'll be like, why is Formula One not like this? Then they're going to start asking questions. It's very hard to say, you can watch a motorbike race because that's different. You know what I mean? That's a different thing. But if you're seeing another car race,
that's the thing I say. MotoGP,
IndyCar will benefit.
It's more niche.
Yeah, because IndyCar's got an American audience, but does it have a worldwide audience?
No, that's the issue with IndyCar.
Formula One's got a worldwide audience. Man in middle of Somalia is watching Formula One. Just random person, like all over the world, they show Formula One. In a jungle in Borneo. You get me?
I feel like MotoGP. I feel like MotoGP will be the biggest winners.
Why?
I don't know, because I feel like people might tune in to catch the start of Formula One and watch and see the conclusion of MotoGP. And conclusion of MotoGP is always lit.
100%. And then MotoGP's got bare superstars as well.
Yeah. Shout out my boy Marc Marquez.
Shout out Marc Marquez.
Making a comeback.
Shout out to Fabio Quartararo.
Yeah.
Shout out to all them man there. But yeah, that's a good question. I think generally, IndyCar would be the best winner there. I think for end of the day, whether it's MotoGP or IndyCar, one of those two are going to show Formula One up. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, it's going to be bad.
Someone's going to get Formula One's going to get embarrassed.
Everyone's going to get batted up though.
100%.
Because popularity of the drivers in America too is going to be like me. Outside of Lewis.
He's right.
It's a bit sticky. Yeah. They like Colton Herter and Pato O'Ward better. Over there, boy.
Yeah.
All right. Next question, guys. At Ranch Dingus. We know who that is.
Resident hater.
With news coming out in the upcoming Charles Leclerc interview that Ferrari's focus next year is execution on Sundays. How much better do you expect them to be next season? I'm going to go to you, to Kwame, first.
They won't be, man. I had it down there when people something, man. Next question, man.
Oh my God. Kunle, same question. Do you think they're going to be any better if their focus is on next year? Clearly, their focus should have been on next year earlier. Executing on Sundays, which you should be doing in the first place.
On Sundays, Ferrari, they're going to be Ferrari. They will make the worst decisions they'll pit the wrong drivers, and they might probably give the drivers the wrong tires. So yeah, I expect them to be 30% worse than this year. Decision making.
Do you know what? With Ferrari? Yeah, I think their problem on because they've got a good quali car, man. They've had a good quali car for a while. Even if I go back to 2019, they've got a good quali car. They can eke out that 1 lap pace and build a car that can stick out on pole comfortably. Yeah. The problem is they have a car that eats tires. They've had a car that eats tires for 4 years. So is that something fundamentally wrong with the design? Is that something that Bonotto hasn't got his head around? That you've got a car that on Sundays can't go through the race because it hasn't got a race pace because it keeps eating its tires. That's fundamentally something wrong with the car. Man's gone through 2 regs now. We've gone through last year regs and this year regs, and your car has the same issue of eating tires. We saw the tires after Japan. Did you see Max's tires compared to Charles?
No, Charles's tires look like he was running on like sandpaper. And the sandpaper was like literally sandpaper in the tires, like flattening it out. Like Max has got talent, right? But in a 40-minute race, you cannot put 25 seconds on my head. That shouldn't even be normal. Considering that our cars are not that far of each other.
In quali, especially.
Yeah. Like in 1 lap pace, at most you're probably doing 2/10 on me. But like at some point in that race, Max was putting 1 second on Charles's head in 40 minutes. Both started on brand new wets. Not used wets, brand new wets. Then went on to intermediate.
They pitted into yeah.
And they pitted for brand new intermediates. I don't know, man. They need to like the philosophy.
So
of
that's
that's
fundamentally something wrong.
Philosophy of that car is weird. Because I know this. If you have 1 lap pace like that, you shouldn't be that far. You know what it reminds me of? Mercedes in 2013. Like the first year Lewis joined them, like they used to have like crazy pace and quali. And like 5 laps into the race, the tires were dead.
Man saying Bono, my tires are gone. Man's cooked.
They literally used to be cooked.
So it's a fundamental design. So to answer your question, Raj Dingers, until they sort that out, it's going to be the same. It's going to be more pole positions and more bottled poles for Ferrari, because they've carried this problem over since 2019. Leclerc was slapping up poles in the races; they were getting decked out. It's peak for Ferrari fans. Question from Unpaid Intern. Shout out to Unpaid Intern.
Yeah,
Our favorite Jamaican content creator. Is there any hope for K-Mac? That's his question.
Why are we talking about K-Mag in 2022, man?
Is there any hope for him, though?
Hope for what?
In what sense? I feel like...
Go on, Kwame.
Go on, Kwame.
I feel like K-Mag, I feel like his career is kind of... It's peaked. Like, he's had his peak, so his future in the Haas team is going to be that kind of steady head driver who... I don't think K-Mac will go anywhere else from here. Like, I feel like once time is done, Haas, that's it. Until Haas improve their car, until Haas get more facilities or money, whatever, he's just going to be a guy who may get the odd point here and there. Going to have very aggressive race starts. Going to be a very aggressive driver, but yeah, points here and there, consistently not crash out. That's it. Like, nothing much more for him or the team until something new happens, if that makes sense.
We're not going to see like some next, twilight of his career where he's going to be doing a madness like, oh, I'm going to get some podiums.
K-Mag's not. Listen,
it's over.
K-Mag.
So he's going to be back at the. He deserves to be on the grid, but that's about it.
K-Mag is getting me like, you see with like Hulkenberg, right? It's like you're better than certain drivers, but you're not as good as certain drivers. So
the midfield driver.
So you would always be in that Haas, Alfa Romeo space. Like you're not going to be an Alfa Tauri because like
he's Pogba on his day.
I know.
On a good, no, don't disrespect.
Not even Pogba, man. Come on, man.
No, I'm talking about the on his day thing, not Pogba.
Nah.
I'm talking about the joke on his day, innit? On his day, he can cook.
On his day, he
Magnussen
can
can
Yeah, until you can cook. You can cook on say, yeah.
He can cook on his day, but then he has like 2 days out of 23 days. And the problem with K-Mag is when K-Mag is bad.
He's bad.
When K-Mag is bad,
But I don't think he's slow. I don't think he's slow.
He's not slow.
He's not slow.
I think he just
He's not slow. He's
needs
very
to
fast driver.
Fam, how you get black on meatball flag 4 times this season? Can you keep
That's
having
a
that?
lot.
That's a lot. It's crazy. Is it 4 or 3?
He's very
It's still
rash.
a lot. Anything more than 1.
He's
Anything
very
more than
rash,
one is a
though.
lot.
That's the thing.
Like,
And the thing is, he's a big man now. He's a big man now. He's in his 30s. Like, why are you driving so rash still? Like, I can take this from someone like Yuki. You know what I'm saying? But you've been McLaren, you've been Renault, now you're Haas, and you're still doing the same mistakes you were doing. I feel like you're even worse now than you were back then.
and that's what I was gonna say. Like,
So-
he's grown. He's not a child. He's not a.
Been in
rookie.
F1 for a while, even though he's
You've
not.
been-
He's
you've been in
30
and around-
years old.
You've
So he's
been
still
in and
got a
around
career ahead of
F1
him.
for a long time. To stop making first lap mistakes. Like, you shouldn't be taking out your front wing on the first lap at this stage.
Mix matching him pace wise as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to
think I'm
speak
teammates,
about that.
No, because we're going to speak about Mick now. Because
And you know,
Mr.
apparently
Resident
Haas
Terrorist.
on Mick.
You can skip me on Mick, man. I don't care.
we've got a question from Anik. Man, Anik said, "What's going to happen with Mick? Mick is going to be working in a Ferrari showroom next season in Germany."
I got a question for Anik. When are you going to be consistent on the pod?
Woo! Spicy. I'm not even going to edit that out. Keep that in there. We've got last question, guys. Ducks on Quack 9. If you could bring back 3 teams, 1 top, 1 midfield, 1 back marker, who would they be? I said bring back, you know.
Bring back.
I saw this question as well. If I was bringing like a top team, I'd say someone like Lotus. You know, that Colin Chapman era.
Was Lotus a top team?
Yellow.
Oh yeah, they were back in the day.
They were back then. Obviously, not catering Lotus, not Lotus Renault. The original Lotus.
Yeah, original Lotus. Yeah.
Original Lotus. Colin Chapman, green, yellow, Jim Clark, them man there. I'll bring back.
Why are you watching Jim Clark races, bro?
Hey, go do research, man. Go do research.
Bro, you're like 17 years old. Why are you watching Jim Clark races?
But
Who's man thing? What's going on?
My father's
Scared.
man.
you're scaring the lady folks, bro.
You're scaring the ladies.
You're scaring the
watching
lady
that time,
folks, bro.
He's got the African man shades on as well. Hit the bookies.
You're not gonna make something, man. It's not against hardcore, innit, man.
Scary,
Okay,
scary taxi driver error.
God,
Oh Lord,
a banned Uber driver, you know, bloody hell.
Cool, man.
Kwame, so Lotus is your top team, middle team. They're to bring back.
BMW Saber, man.
BMW was towards the top, no?
they were towards the top, no?
Okay, cool.
Kubica and that cooking.
Someone like Toyota. Okay, Toyota.
I'll accept it. Toyota, you know, hey, bring back Toyota, man. They were so funny,
Toyota,
man. They were the funniest team, man.
They spent peas. Listen, if they come now, yeah, I'm telling you, if a red change came at the right time, they'll be cooking. If they had got lucky to red change, they'll be cooking. But Kobayashi and Truly Schumacher, come on, man. Even Gluck, you know, will be feasting.
Timo, I'll bring back Jordan.
Yeah,
That's a shout.
I was gonna say Jordan.
Bring back Jordan still.
Eddie Jordan will
Benson
be a
and
terrorist.
Edges.
Eddie Jordan will be a terrorist, bro.
Oh Lord, that's mercy, bro. I'd bring back Jaguar because I don't like this Red Bull.
I'll bring back
Jaguar Cosworth.
Jordan.
Jordan. Jada, who? No, it was Jaguar. It's Jaguar.
No, I'm just saying, like,
no?
for the bottom, HRT or Marisha.
Hey, HRT.
Oh.
HRT. Yeah, bring out HRT's still about. That's
Yeah,
the
HRT,
thing.
man.
That's the worst thing about it. HRT's like in F2 and F3. Like, come through, man.
Oh yeah, Campos, yeah.
HRT or Marisha.
HRT, man. I don't like Marshall.
HT will move ads, man.
Come on, man.
They were
Marisha,
bankrupt every season. Marisha were Gucci, man. They had, you know, Val and Ocon. They were okay. You know. Well, that's
yeah.
man up.
HRT Jordan, top team. I don't know, maybe Glory Days Williams.
Williams is still here. They said bring him back from the dead.
They're still there, man.
Bro, they're dead, bro.
Man said bring back Frank
Man
Chris,
said bring him back, man. They're all
I
still
said-
on the grid, bro.
I said Glory
said
Days
bring back
Williams.
Williams.
Glory Days Williams. This is not Glory Days. I mean, Frank's not proud of what this current Williams team.
I don't call him Tyrrell. I'm gonna call him Tyrell. Bring back Tyrell.
That's South London, man. So I can shoot at height, man.
Bring back Brabham. Let's bring out Brabham, bro.
Yeah.
Bring back the old school teams, bro.
But
yeah,
Jordan,
thank you.
Jordan will be fun on this grid.
Jordan, man. He used to have
I can imagine
them girls in the miniskirt and that. This guy was crazy, you know.
Eddie was a different
Eddie Jordan doing interviews. Boy.
bro.
Eddie.
I forgot, he was actually a pundit as well at one point. Channel 4 pundit.
Yeah, he was pundit. 2010 times he was pundit.
He's still pundit.
Vettel era, he was a big boy pundit.
He's a big boy pundit them times. He was the one that broke Lewis to Mercedes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the original.
Why you got to tell me that? Why you reminding me, bro?
For Melon.
For people that are listeners, Kunle is wearing Ferrari gear. I just want to remind you again. McLaren fan is wearing Ferrari gear.
I'm not wearing it. I'm not wearing it because I want to wear it, but it's cold in Canada, bro. I need a sweat.
Oh, whatever. But yeah, if you got this far, thank you so much for listening, guys. Follow us on Pitstop Fracas on Twitter. Follow us on Pitstop Fracas on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. We're on TikTok now, guys. Pitstop Fracas on TikTok. Follow if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple podcasts, please give us a 5-star review. Give some love right there. And if you want merch, if you want some Mick Schumacher merch, I heard it's 70% off. Yeah,
that's tough.
Get that. Use our link, Fanatics link in the bio, in the
That's
description.
tough.
Use that. It's tough. But yeah, thank you for listening, everybody. We'll be back next week with a review of the United States COTA GP. Peace.
Gang.